Yo-ho, everybody, and welcome to Volume 79 of the One Piece Virgin Eggheads Book Club podcast, covering chapters 786 to 795 of One Piece, a chapter titled Suicide that I love so much. What a great fucking chapter. I am Captain Monkey D. Jones of the Measly Crew, joined as always by your Vice Captain, Eggy V. Rodriguez!
From the top rope, it's the mystery man you thought was the Straw Hat Luffy on your screen all this time, folks, but today I'm hatless, and you know what, but my back is not patless because we're still coming from the top rope, zooming in on number 800, but goodness gracious, the world is zooming here with us today. I'm talking about the whole world, old and new, but mostly new as far as I can tell, either way.
The whole world's catching up on what happened in Dressrosa, and we're gonna catch you up on what happened in this volume. Eggy, do you have any hat ideas, or is there just a top of mind percolating?
Well, there certainly is a hat, I have to say it, that is going to direct us to chapter 789, and in this chapter 789, well, there's a hat involved in my hat. I'm talking about the cover story, Shanks and the Bulldog under Cafe Terrace. This might possibly be, in my opinion, I've said this many times, and I probably will say it again in the future. I think this might be the greatest picture I've seen in One Piece so far. It's very hard to beat.
I did just pull this up. Yeah, we have a humanoid bulldog with cool mafia wear hanging out with Shanks, sipping a glass of coffee or tea.
Maybe it's all that Sopranos I've been watching, just a few episodes left. I got kind of sidetracked by some other stuff. But, something about the suited man who maybe has a little bit of an underworld connection, or however you want to phrase it. Sitting there sipping his coffee out there on the terrace, you know what? That's what I call the good life.
And the aura of Shanks missing his arm also is here hanging out with this bulldog smoking a cigar. Yeah, you're right. This is probably the greatest illustration Oda has done to this point. My hat idea was actually also a non-canon cover story. Actually, in the Suicide chapter, 795. Am I mistaken in thinking that this gorilla looking in the mirror, forcing itself to smile, looks identical to the film Joker when Joker is forcing himself to smile in the mirror? And that in bold text right above this image is the word suicide. Is this Oda sending a direct message to me saying, hey, you depressed ugly monkey? Because the caption here is Nami giving an ugly gorilla a makeover. It's not smiling of its own volition. It's literally forcing its cheeks up to smile. It's clearly suicidal. It's Joker pilled before the Joker movie even came out. Is Oda telling me to kill myself?
Well, I don't want to get too far into anything too fast, but I don't think so. But there's a lot that happens in this chapter that was, I felt very true to self, maybe a new literal me on the horizon. Somebody who just seems to, maybe take a lot. And is open to the idea of any day being a grand finale, but it never seems to happen. That's right.
Of course, you're talking about.
We all can agree.
You're talking about the new character Sheep's Head, I have to assume, when you say there's a new literally me introduced.
Yeah, it was funny. Once again, not to get to whatever all over the place, but I kind of had whiplash. I had to start reading the top of this chapter here like 3 times. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, what the heck? So it goes back to something we've been separated from for so long that I was just like.
What are you specifically talking about in chapter 795? The Kid Alliance? You were excited to see them again?
I would say going from Fujitora to the long lost Straw Hat friends, I was like, because I'm thinking, especially, I believe it's just at the end of 794 where we're getting sort of this reaction from many persons about what happens in this volume. The, honest, true, top of mind. I think I'm going to stick with the mainstream script today on that one. And so I'm thinking like maybe we're still having some of that going over and rolling over into the next chapter, which is not so much the case. I'm like, oh wow, who are like whoever these guys are, that looks a lot like Sanji. And then I'm like, oh wait a minute, okay, well that is Chopper, and now what's going on? And like it all kind of had to kind of drip into my brain a little bit. Like it had to kind of it was washing over the few remaining functional cells, and like a couple of them had to pick up on it piece by piece. So I just kind of had to like reread over it a few times to kind of find the continuity here. Or maybe I'm just a little bit more on top of that sort of thing after recent events in the last couple of weeks. But either way, yeah.
So yeah, in chapter 795, you're just reading through it all. Yeah, we got King Riku talking to Rebecca about being a princess, and then all of a sudden, next page, just all of a sudden, we're back with Sanji and Caesar screaming. So this is what initially had you like, whoa, it's been 60 fucking chapters since we had these characters, and now they're just like kind of unceremoniously just thrust upon us halfway through a random chapter here. How would it have been thrilling for the weekly readers? Like, I'm a big Sanji fan. I read every week. Dressrosa's lasting for fucking ever. It's been 2 years since I've seen Sanji in the story, and then in the suicide chapter, he pops up. I mean, I was not quite a weekly reader yet, but I probably would have been thrilled.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. And it's I guess there's worse ways that they could have been, involved here, but yeah, it just kind of seemed a little mashed together, so maybe Oda just he's like, "Oh, I can't end this volume and not have them show back up. Like everybody's going to be like freaking out. So here let me just show hey, they are, hey, everybody. Woo. All right, now back to what I actually was going to talk about."
Before we get to top of minds, I want to stay here with this as a hat section because what is your take? What is happening here with this jungle adventure of our Straw Hats that abandoned the story 60 chapters ago?
I don't know, it's very bizarre like this rain eruption, it kind of reminded me, not so unlike the way that this material was finding itself into my brain. I was like, it's like the mass of it was just like floating over my head, and it kind of had to just actually, and I am now seeing, taking a double check here, and I did not interpret this graphic correctly. I thought it was like some kind of gelatinous mass that was like hovering over, and it was like breaking up like some kind of big water bubble. Now I realize that actually that's supposed to be the base of a volcano. So that's I was misinterpreted, but just the white kind of blended together with the white in the background for me. I just saw what looked like trees being absorbed into one of those gelatin casserole dishes that mothers would put hot dogs and peas and things into in the 1950s. I thought that's how this was, but in any case, yeah, it's a
So
little
is that
bizarre.
that's our current interpretation? Is that this island has a volcano that does not spew lava; it spews water that washes everybody the fuck away. It's like a crazy geyser.
Right, and yeah, at least a geyser with hopefully room temperature water because I don't seem to see anybody say, "Oh my God, I'm boiling to death." So
And also, right before the geyser goes off, we see the ground that they're running on. Nami says it's so hard to run on this ground, and it's all like lumpy and kind of scaly, or I don't know how you would define that terrain, but a very strange island that we have found ourselves on.
yeah, I guess I kind of thought about it as I was reading it and I was like, okay, well, it doesn't. It looks, yeah, I guess it's hard to run on. And then as I went down, and once the rain explosion happens, I was like, oh, maybe it's like a water bed or something. Maybe it's kind of like that. Like you're kind of like, ooh, kind of doing like some of this when you're running on it. But the scaly texture, now that you point that out, might maybe have something to do a little bit more with everything that's going on here.
Also, when we transition to this and we get the Oda box, the next day, New World on the Sunny Twirly Hat Pirates. I guess that's what they're called under Sanji's direction. We see the Sunny chained up in a foggy ocean,
Mhm.
and then there's like a towering structure that's in silhouette that it seems to be chained to. So is this Is this island like at the top of a mountain or something? What's going on here?
Uh, mm, I guess I didn't really take that from it. It is awfully strange because usually, yeah, like you'd be anchored. So I mean, you'd have to have had like been out and made contact with, and like nobody here has that kind of power, as far as I'm concerned, or aware of that they would be able to like. Let's say Luffy, he could, stretch his arm out to like hook it onto something, or Usopp could like shoot out some kind of grappling device. They're not here, so it is very, very bizarre, and I honestly don't know if I have any good speculation on that whatsoever because it's.
Yeah, is there any advantage to, instead of using the anchor to stay in place, to chain yourself to the island?
I suppose if they had an inclination that there could be some of this like water eruption, maybe the anchor could be displaced more easily than a chain to a rock. But yeah,
Hopefully, the mystery will
I'm
be
a bit
revealed.
kerfuffled. Like, yeah, I'm a bit kerfuffled, and it's just a little dose, just like a quarter of the final chapter here in this volume. So I need a little more to know, but some very interesting things all the same.
A sneak peek of hopefully what will be an upcoming arc, so that we don't have to keep wondering what happened to our poor friend Sanji.
That's right.
What is your top of mind, Eggy? Now that we're 10 minutes into the episode.
Well, I think, like I said, I'm sticking with what I would consider to be the mainstream script, okay? And may I say, prefacing this, that I feel like I predicted, reasonably well to what I had, I thought I was pretty close. But anyway, bum, 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 Doflamingo is defeated. Woo! Oh my goodness! And this is probably one of the best fights I could think of that we've had in quite a while. I mean, I know that this has obviously been long, arc all the same, but the tension here was certainly palpable at, I mean, the utmost levels. I might have to think back to every single tense fight that there's been, but this has to be at least top two, if not number one. And I'm thinking with everything that's behind it, overall, it's got to be number one ever so far in the series.
At one point, Oda gives us a countdown timer to genocide. like 3 minutes to genocide, and Luffy's hockey needs 4 minutes to recover. And it's like, oh, fuck. Genocide guaranteed. But hey, homeboy Zoro and homeboy Barto with his barrier, they can stall out that birdcage from closing in. Oh, it's beautiful. Great use of tension. Great use of all of society being necessary for the revolution to take place. You can't just rely on the powerful. If every single person is not involved in pushing together, Doflamingo's going to win.
Yeah,
What
and
a
then
great
also,
metaphor.
I mean, absolutely. And like I kind of had this, my speculation I think previously was that we were going to be involving the other gladiators, which is true, but then also, yeah, we get a large part of the just general populace here being involved, and of course, our great friends, which Princess Mancherry ends up kind of like I was going to say being part of this whole timed thing that's going on here, this timed tension because her incredible healing tears, we got made aware of those when they were going to try and harvest them to resuscitate the Doflamingo family officers. Instead, she's just upset, so she's just being flown over everybody and crying all over all of them for the healing tears, the life prolonging. It gets you all the way back, just like some hormone replacement therapy over there from our good friend who
Can't be that good of a friend.
racing. I want to say Freddie Mercury, but you know what? Yeah,
It's
close
probably
enough.
Dr. Fauci. He's usually behind anything that's good for society.
That's right. And just like hormone replacement therapy, it makes everybody get back to normal and be at full strength and be able to live their lives for a few minutes, which is all they need. But we don't know that for sure because, I mean, well, we can kind of get into that too. Just really what we call it, the second half of the fight, maybe like the fourth quarter of the fight between Doflamingo and Luffy here, because we kind of maybe had the first half in the previous volume, but we get in that final quarter, everybody kind of tuckering out as the healing effects are wearing off. Luffy, he said, that's all the time I need. It starts to look a little crazy. We're like, oh, I don't know. He said that's all you need, but I feel like, but really, he's able to charge up for that one last blast, just as he mentioned. And he cracks Doflamingo's glasses, which I guess is the. I'm not going to say he's dead. I don't think that there's necessarily enough to see that, but he certainly is taken out of the picture until further notice. And there's a big fallout from that, which I kind of, to me, that was just as much something that was kind of my top of mind, but I don't know if that's overlapping to say both, like his physical defeat and sort of the defeat of his empire at the same time.
Well, that does play into my top of mind, so maybe I'll transition right here with the concept of the D being the natural enemy of the gods, and as Doflamingo is defeated here, we get that flashback to Rocinante saying that. And think about all the symbols here, okay? Doflamingo, he thinks himself as a god. Luffy, he's using Kong Punch. Monkeys. What do monkeys have to do with gods? They disprove God through evolution, okay? The monkey is a symbol of atheist pride. And that's why Vincent the Atheist has a big monkey blanket hanging up on his wall, folks. And
that's right.
Luffy and the god, atheist man versus the god, fighting up in the air. What does he do? Kong punches the god back down to earth, and that's how he defeats him from the heavens, smashing down into the earth. And then, that's not all. We have Sabo, revolutionary, also an enemy of the gods. Who does Sabo defeat in this volume? Literally Jesus. Literally obliterates fucking Jesus. Is this intentional? Is this atheist pride on display in this volume? We're defeating all the gods, Eggy?
Well, I could also see it, from if there's a moderate or non-atheist perspective here.
Doubtful, but go on.
Well, we're seeing the death of some false gods. Oh, look at me, I'm Jesus Burgess, and I'm working for Blackbeard. We can just steal your power, and we can run roughshod on everybody and do whatever we want because we just have so much pride and so much ego. Boom, out of here. I'm Doflamingo. I'm the heavenly god, the heavenly demon, rather. I can do whatever I want, kill whoever I want, and just, literally, I could puppeteer you to kill everybody kill yourself. I have complete and utter control that can never be stopped. And, well, not so much the case, after all. The false prophets, the false gods, defeated by a man with true and honest faith that his powers, he can count down, he has faith in his abilities to the second of when he'll be able to have just enough power to do what he needs to do. That's damn near an awakening as far as I'm concerned, even though we're talking about hockey in this volume here when it comes to that. But
yeah, allow me to also present a counter argument to my own atheist creed here. When the false god is able to use his parasite string on Luffy, and now he's controlling our main character, who's the symbol of freedom. Oh my god, he's under somebody else's direct control. What does he do to break out of that? He goes Gear 4, which in the SBS, somebody points out, resembles, what'd they say, some sort of Buddhist symbol? Some guy from Buddhism or something like that. So Luffy here is breaking through the false religion by having a faith in the one true religion, which I guess is, what, Buddhism? Could that be what's happening here?
Yeah, I guess they say it's the Neo statue, which I'm not particularly knowledgeable of. I guess there's sort of I just took a look at one here. I guess it has to do with perhaps his change in appearance with like how his eyes are kind of darkening and he's kind of got more of an angry look going on. And then I think some of the like swirling that's going on around him. I guess that's where this resemblance is coming from, based on just a quick photograph of one of these that I saw. But hey, to be honest, this might be a pro-Buddhist, if maybe not pro-atheist, might be a pro-Buddhist situation.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And Feel free in the comments to correct me, but I'm pretty sure Buddhism itself is not really a religion, but more of a philosophy of thought and how life should be, and meditation and inner peace and that kind of stuff. So maybe even maybe it even is atheist on the sense of Buddhism is the most atheist of the religions in a sense. But that might even be a stretch. I don't know enough about Buddhism yet. Vincent has not researched for that episode quite yet, but maybe one day I'll know what I'm talking about.
And I also want to say just to my thoughts in this, so far as this, false god, false idol pretense of, maybe that's what this defeat symbolizes. Um, Also, then there are these human beings, for the most part, around the world who are all suffering from this empire. They had all these deals and all these things that they'd already committed themselves to, and it's falling through. I think that perhaps we could say there might be something to say there about believing in a false god or a false prophet. Like, oh, well, what do you mean I'm going to whatever our version of hell is? I've trusted the God this whole time. What do you mean? Oh, well, there's a fake God. Now you put all your chips on the fake God and there's nothing left for you. Adios, amigo. It's out of here. Brutal. So maybe
Is that
something in that
Pascal's
vein.
wager where like atheists will pretend that they're Christian just in case it's real, something like that? Is there a version where somebody believes in every single religion ever made because one of them has to be true and you don't want to be wrong? Because that's pretty brutal if like Hinduism is real and you wasted your whole life being a Christian pastor. Like, oops, I guess I'm in hell anyway.
You know what? And you might end up like the people of the Doflamingo Empire, like, hey, no, God's got me, and then some Luffy comes and like he kills whoever your God is, and then I don't know. I saw a statue in Canada recently of a Canadian idol or something, Lord Haruman, and it looks like me if I lost some weight, down to he's got a neck beard, he's kind of got like the same smirk as me, a lot of similarities. So what? All I'm saying is if they end up being right, hopefully I get some place up in the mix there, So yeah.
Iggy, I don't want to spoil future events, but is it Haruman or Hanuman? Because I've had up on my whiteboard here the list of all the season 1 Vincent episodes for a long time, and episode 7 has been the Hanuman Temple for a long time because at that Hindu temple that we filmed me dancing at for the theme song, they do have a statue of a monkey there that whether it's Hanuman or not, we're going to pretend it is for the episode, but this is going to be very relevant to our filmmaking very soon.
Well, now that you mentioned it, I did just decide to take a look, and yeah, it's Hanuman, aka Maruti, aka Bajrangabali, aka Anjneya, and
Yeah,
they're
it's going to
God,
be very,
big
very
time God.
relevant to the plot of Vincent's Atheist Reviews, believe it or not. I've had this plan in place for a long time, so stay tuned, fans of Hanuman, the monkey.
All I'm going to say is that, the statue in India is the only one out of any of these I'm looking at that looks like me. So maybe Indians are just holding me down. Appreciate it. I mean, Canadians, Indians, whatever, same thing at this point. So hopefully the Northern Indians are holding me down. Much appreciated, Northern Indian tube.
I'm going to see if we have any new members or comments today, and it looks like no, we don't. Okay, next segment.
Well,
Eggy,
I have something.
yeah, I believe you have something very special planned for today.
Oh, well, we said last week when it comes to being. This all started, I want to remind you all, because of a One Piece cookbook I saw at Barnes and Noble that I just wanted to steal the recipes out of and not buy. But I was like, hey, no cocktail recipes. Let's see what ChatGPT has. We did a few weeks of some reasonable things, and well, I'm not the most reasonable man. Maybe I have some twist in me that I need to get a little crazy sometimes. Well, there's nothing freakier than what I have here today, folks. You've heard the rumors of the all blue, the 100% blue curacao liquor, and then, well, we're bringing in some seafaring elements. Let me just before I get into the components, just take a look here. I have my prized glass bear cup here to really give you a good view.
Oh wow, he's already chock full
Uh,
of the blue. Is
Look
he
at that
chock
good
full of
blue color.
everything? You have some fishy friends in there already?
There's
Oh,
the
oh.
what is gathered at the bottom. That is fish, clams, and mussels, and they've formed a little bit of a. I don't know if you can see the. Maybe I should grab my webcam. The sediment that is formed at the top here.
Yeah, I should go full Eggy cam actually on this. Here we go. This is how the whole podcast should be: is me in the corner and it's all Eggy all the time.
So
Yeah,
this is the oil from the fish that has accumulated at the top
it looks like
because of
the
sea
nasty
moss.
moss on the lake in my parents'
Yeah,
backyard.
and look at all that. So we got all that good there, and yes, down at the bottom, that it looks like what's at the bottom of the sea as far as I'm concerned.
Delicious, yeah.
Uh,
Sanji would be proud of the all blue finally coming true. His dream in a cup.
And I will say, this is not 100% liquor. It was thinned out a little bit for consumptible purposes because if I drank this much liquor on the podcast, I probably would not be. It'd have to be like at the end for me to not, just be freaked out.
Hey, we're halfway
But
through. You might as well go for it. We covered all the major.
well, and it works out because oh yeah, so there's clams in here, and the clams were packed in clam juice, which is a popular mixer for things like clamato or whatever. They do like clam juice.
Mm.
So let's see how all these flavors are coming together. The cats couldn't get enough of the scent. They were
Did you give them
outside
any
the
fish
door.
or any clam or anything?
I just gave them more of their actual food.
That's
I
fair.
don't know. Don't want to temper with their stomachs too much because Chat GPT might tell me a lot of things, but I shouldn't probably trust it with living creatures that I'm responsible to keep
Yeah,
alive.
that's
So,
fair. I love sharing
all
like a
right.
can of tuna with my cats, but they do like throw it up whenever I give them something special. So
All right, we're going in for. I don't even really know if I know what blue curacao even tastes like. So let's
I
just
think
see
it
if
tastes
this
like
is.
oranges, is what I read, but that
Oh,
doesn't make any sense to me.
all right. I'm happy to. So here we go. Orange fish. That's probably something that people eat, right? Let's see.
Yeah, it's for Nami Swan and her tangerines.
Oh,
Can you lean forward a little bit? I'm blocking your face slightly.
not sure.
Yeah, there you go. Looks delicious though.
I mean, it's terrible for sure. It's atrocious. It is horrific. Honestly,
Should
the
I get
fish
in my car
flavor.
and drive to your house right now so I can have a sip and then drive back?
Uh,
Waste 25 minutes.
I'm gonna say here. You know what? You really don't have to.
Okay, you're gonna
Did you
come over
try any of
here.
the? Did you try any of that shit that I made when we did the birthday mailbag?
I do not recall.
Well, just imagine like drinking fish oil, and then also, yeah, the orangeness is of the. It's definitely probably more orange forward than anything, I suppose. It's pretty true. Well,
And that's what ruins it.
it's Well, I think I drank a big swig of oil, so like the fish oil was good there. Now I'm just getting. Let me just go right into some.
A big swig of fish oil.
God, what is it? It's very fish forward. I guess you know what? All right, as I'm getting into it a little bit here, it's progressing. Maybe I'm just getting Stockholm syndrome here. It's kind of like citrusy, fishy. It's a little watered down because I did feel, but it's also got a lot of clam juice in it, so I think that maybe adds a little bit of extra fishy flavor into it. I feel like this probably is not far off from like something that Asians actually consume, like the flavor profile of it, because
Uh-huh.
it's a little citrusy, a little fruity, a little floral, very fishy, but it's not bad like bad like spoiled fish or something. It's kind of a fresh sort of, and you got some of that fish oil in that kind of gives you a little like coating on the palate a little bit, and it's not like a bad thing. It kind of like helps like smooth out the whole experience. So never make this ever, please, for the love of God. You know what? All things considered, the whole bottle with all the fish was like under $15. I mean, really a tasty treat you can make multiple times for a reasonable budget. But there's just no need for this. It's an abomination, but I think it really resembles everything it was supposed to.
Yeah.
The bottom of the sea, the color, the fish goo on top from all the dead fish that float up to the top of the sea.
Is
Beautiful
the
as a
is the
beautiful as
goal
art, and
is our goal that you drink and consume all the fish by the end of the podcast?
Nah, I'll sure give it a try.
Yeah,
Let's.
this doesn't have to be the torture Eggy show. Like, you're not getting paid for this. This isn't a wheel. If it's really that bad, is it worth it? He's chugging. He's ready.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess it's warm, fishy, citrusy, florally.
And as with any alcohol, it gets easier to drink the more you drink it.
Well, that's also true, but I mean, you know me. It's when it's time for those canned fish. I mean, it's so delish. You know, look
Yeah,
at all that.
once he found out that there's a dessert waiting, now he's excited to get the disgusting booze out of the way. He
That's right.
wants the yummy orange tainted fish.
It might be delicious for all I know. There's only one way for me to find out. I've seen what the liquid's like, and now, yeah, the special treat like the fortune cookie at the bottom of the meal.
So does this rank the lowest then, and henceforth Sanji ranks the lowest as a straw hat, since that's what we're forcing you to do?
Well, what was he the twisted hat pirates or the
Twirly
twirly hat?
brow something? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, you'll definitely twirl. The twirly hat pirates. You will twirl after tasting this in the opposite direction and walk away. So you know what? It's a twirly fish swirl. Maybe
That
that's
is,
even a better name for it.
it makes absolutely no sense. Straw hat pirates because he's wearing a straw hat. Twirly hat? None of them wear a hat. He has twirly eyebrows. Shouldn't it have been the twirly brow pirates under Sanji's leadership?
Well, that would be a good name for this too, because your eyebrows are gonna start twisting up. Like, what the hell did I just drink?
The
Um,
all blue, aka the curly brow.
uh, keep it, keep it in the back of your mind somewhere. It looks good when you put it together for like, for like a Pinterest picture or something.
No, it doesn't.
Flavor is off-putting, but it's not undrinkable. Maybe most people would say, but I don't walk away from a challenge. So
Like, we'll get Eggy's final review once he finishes the glass to see if he still feels that way. Eggy, I want to talk about a scene in chapter 793 when we have homeboy Akainu, beloved hero who stopped the vicious Ace from continuing his pirate rebellion. And he's bitching to the Gorosei, those five elders who, as far as we know, are the leaders of the entire world, the top of the government, right? Was that the
right.
impression you were under?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I feel like Doflamingo had stated something before, maybe when he was organizing the call. Was it like when they were still at Punk Hazard? Like he was saying something along the lines. I can't remember. Like the Joker backstory from back then, I feel like maybe alluded to something, but certainly there was never any inclination in a confirmed way. And this is about as confirmed as it gets, where the Navy is admitting that they are, you know, they're just there. It's kind of a farce with what they're doing, and they're supposed to be being backed up by the elders from Sacred Marjo, and they're like, hey, you know what? Fuck you. You don't tell us what to do. Look at our mustaches are longer and more powerful than you. So I don't care how many cigars you smoke or how many meteors you could throw, bitch. You know what?
Well,
When you get old enough for
specifically here,
dreadlocks and mustaches, you're good.
this meeting, there, Akainu, the fleet admiral, the leader of the navy now, he, the Dressrosa scenario has not played out yet. Like, they're about to be told that Luffy defeated Doflamingo. So right now he's bitching at them about the CP0 announcement or whatever the hell was going on, that Doflamingo's leaving the Warlords. And Akainu is under the impression that the order to do this was given from a position even higher than the Gorosei. So Akainu is aware that there is somebody even higher up in the world government than the Gorosei.
Hmm.
But we have no inclination or idea as to what this might be.
Well, I think let's go into our society mode just a little bit. Not two terms of service violating enough, but
It might be
considering what's
exactly
going
what
on.
Oda is intending.
Let's say perhaps, maybe a group of old, wise, highly mustached, or maybe perhaps highly orange men, just putting on a good face while some greater, more financially capable party is behind the scenes trying to suppress any sort of dissent or maybe any kind of centuries that have been lost. Like, hey, we got to keep this out of view. Putting their best foot forward, their best face forward on both the accounts of the Navy and the five elders here. I'm thinking it's real, but I mean, it would just have to be really either by blood or by like I think maybe blood is maybe a non-negotiable prospect here, considering what we know about the celestial dragons and their strong opinions on their bloodlines and the kind of rank that they hold as a result. So I'm thinking here probably non-negotiable that the bloodline here that might be really behind whatever the highest tier of control. That's got to be that something involved there, but also power, assets. Saw Doflamingo putting such a sort of weight on his ability to produce this smile. He was willing to, turn all these people into toys and have them be, completely removed from society. They're forgotten slaves under the ground. And this is just for one particular bit of, what's the word, commerce. Of a black market commerce. This is like one particular vein of black market commerce for one client, especially. Now, it seems here in the volume we get some other people talking about, oh, where's my order? Da, da, da. That's all this going on to essentially come to one conclusion for his benefit. So when we consider everything that took place just to benefit one established emperor, it really, and everything that, the power that Doflamingo had, the tenacity, the ruthlessness, and this is just, essentially what boils down to like a manager at Pizza Hut in the grand Pizza Hut, company structure at the end of the day. Just get these pizzas out to the people, get these smile fruits out to the people. It's there's a lot of depth here and a lot of gravity that might be difficult for us to even comprehend at this point. Honestly, like we could definitely pick out some likely characteristics, but I think there's got to be something even further that we might not have any idea of at this point.
Well, I'll throw out some pieces that we've been given over Dressrosa that we could play with here. I think we were told that Doflamingo knows some holy secret of Mary Joa, something like that, and he uses that as the blackmail to be allowed to do whatever he wants as a pirate, as a fallen celestial dragon. He's like holding this over them, and he's also just very powerful physically anyway. We hear a lot about Law's fruit, and I think last volume, when Law was basically defeated, we even had Dofi saying, okay, yeah, just use your power to make me immortal, come on. But I wonder if the immortality surgery of Law's fruit is a bit of a red herring, because recently I recall him also saying that the true special power of Law's fruit is the personality transfer. So could it be there's somebody in the world that Doflamingo would like to trade places with?
I think that, it makes a lot of sense to me because Doflamingo, in the way that we saw his development through the backstory in chapter 77, and just what we've seen from him, generally speaking, has a very particularly honed sense of self-worth, ego, and ruthlessness, callousness, due to his upbringing, sort of this, the contrast, the clash from pure decadence, complete privilege, and indulgence at a level that the majority of life would never see, to becoming an absolute pariah, to watch his father essentially burn his livelihood to ash right in front of his face. He's being crucified. He's being attacked in ways that he would have never supposed even possible whatsoever, but he just saw that birthright extinguished. And then he's brought into the fold of these violent criminals to help groom him to become something greater. So I think all these elements are very unlikely to be inherent in any person who would be at the top of this ruling structure at this time. Like, we kind of see this play out throughout history. Eventually you have your let them eat cake, or the bread and circuses brigade, where that top person has lost that sort of tenacity and that sort of edge that would benefit them greatly from somebody like Doflamingo if they were able to infuse that sort of ruthless edge. When they're already at the top, they get disconnected, And so, with all that being considered, I think that it would have been a agreeable uh, operation, an agreeable situation for both parties, whoever this top tier shadow person might be, because if you can get this young fighter, and I don't know if we have anybody like that I could really compare it to in our modern day off the top of my head, but the idea of being able to harness this young power to yourself, I think is kind of it's understandable.
It would be as if Charlie Kirk could put his consciousness into Donald Trump and then become, and that's how he becomes president. Is that even close to what you're saying?
Um,
He had
Probably.
a
I mean,
youthful vigor to him until they took him out. He didn't have hockey to stop the bullet from taking him out, unfortunately. If Luffy wasn't made of rubber, he would have been dead in like chapter 2, getting shot by literal bullets. So, if only Charlie Kirk had a similar power.
I think maybe we could say perhaps the vessel that would be transferred to would be Epstein instead, because he's the big shot caller man. I think he
Okay,
was
yeah,
probably
he's not.
calling.
So Trump's like the Gorosei. He's the face of the shadow government, and then he's being controlled by, yeah,
Yeah.
an Epstein, a Mossad, a
I mean, take
Netanyahu.
like take prime Mike Tyson aggression transferred into like 70-year-old Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if there's any fighters out there, but nowadays, but like you thought he was doing what he did in the island before, like the island's gonna sink itself the way he's breaking these beds down. You know what I'm saying? Either way.
So Doflamingo, a man with aspirations to potentially become the secret emperor of the entire world, but instead Luffy Kong punched him into the ground, and he's being arrested by the navy that he was supposed to be immune from. So a tragic day for Doflamingo, really the worst day of his whole life, and that's incredible considering the life he's lived.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like for somebody, especially like Doflamingo, who has this, very typical. And I hate to discard or like to have a recency bias, considering all of the enemies that Straw Hats have faced throughout their time here. But he just really exudes this sort of all or nothing, absolute balls to the wall. I'm taking you all down with me. I'm gonna, just the bloodlust is at such an extent that I feel like we just haven't really seen the bloodlust, at least paired with a perpetrator who has that tenacity and that sort of aggression to match. Because of course, things would have happened like back in Alabasta, the bomb goes off, Civil War, da, 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 but Crocodile wouldn't have been, really dipping his beak, so to speak, into the pool of blood. He would kind of be hands off. Now let me assume my power, and that's typically what I think you would see in a lot of these situations we've been through, maybe before any applicable situations. But with Doflamingo here, he's very hands on with his men. He's got that very strong familial structure among his soldiers, his generals, his officers, and it's a lot rawer, I think, as a result.
Where should we go next, Eggy? Anything else from the volume that is second top of mind?
Well, I kind of enjoyed here everything to do with our good friend Guyats, and I thought it was funny
Hmm.
that or Gyats, because when this was published, I don't have the exact time. Let's say maybe like 2014, 2015. Uh, you know, about 10 years later, there was a slang that came out called Gyat, which was to pronounce like observe a woman's behind, like yacht. When you see a woman with
Hmm.
a lot of behind. So, but the Mr. Yachts is not making an ass of himself, folks. As a man who has, harnessed and polished just as much as an awakened devil fruit, perhaps, the ability to talk and make a lot of boisterous hollering for many hours straight at a time to draw attention, to maybe bring energy to the table. When I see Gyats here playing this pivotal part, going from our beloved Coliseum announcer who was there dictating the events of the Coliseum fights that have been going on previously in the Dressrosa arc, to then standing up tall as Luffy needs this time to get himself back and get these, seconds, crucial seconds to regenerate his haki for this final strike. I'm telling you, if there's never been a more literal me, a man who could sit there and talk with such incredible boisterous energy and take your attention away from whatever thing is going on for the moment. Yes, folks, and draw your attention to another place as we kill the moments and minutes and seconds until the final grand finale. Well, I don't know if I've ever seen such a literal me in my entire reading career, folks.
The champion of the Coliseum, it's Lucy!
And speaking of champions...
So when you said there's a new literally me, you did mean Gyatso. You did not mean Kaido, whose hobby is suicide. You meant the announcer.
Well, if we look at my history as a broadcaster, I think, let's say, hours 1 through 4 are very Gyatso coded, and hours 4 through 12 might, depending. I would say the first 40 to 50% in any case, in any stream that is 8 or plus hours in excess over my career, would be at first half Gyatso, second half Kaido. Regardless of how you slice, even if it's 24-hour streams, I think even those last 12 hours probably would still fit the bill.
You are, all the drinking you do in those streams, you're metaphorically jumping from a sky island attempting to commit suicide.
That's right. This is the only thing that could take Kaido out, I imagine, just a big old bucket of this.
I mean, to be fair, the All Blue should take him out. If he's truly suicidal, I have to assume he has a devil fruit power, as all the leaders of these groups do. Why not dive into the ocean?
That's a very good point. This has been performative all along.
Yes, he landed on the one little patch of land he could land on. Land in the ocean, brother, you're dead. I have to assume. Maybe Kaido doesn't have a devil fruit, and I'm mistaken, but history tells us every main villain does.
Yeah, I mean, if he was able to become an emperor, well, they say he's just that tough. Well, that would be really, really incredible if that's the case, because, I mean, his strength already seems...
Can we go through the description of Kaido here? Because he probably gets the coolest introduction of any character in One Piece history. Almost this whole chapter is about how cool he is, other than the stuff with Sanji and that group. But let's see. Oh, first of all, we have Arouge. We haven't seen Arouge since fucking forever ago. Did you even remember this was a character?
We didn't get him in. Was he part of the black market there? I can't remember. Well, before they went to Dressrosa.
I don't know.
I seem to recall. I feel like there was a good touching on now Capone, or whatever his name is, that we see here in this volume. I don't know if we saw him on the black market, but I think maybe we did. I'd have to go back and double check, but I feel like the black market introduction that Caesar was broadcasting for his weapon, the Land of the Dead, at that time, I feel like that was a very strong sort of flashback. I mean, not flashback, but a reemergence of this worst generation. We saw a lot of those people. And, there's a couple that I would remember all the same, like Scratchman and Eustace Kid. But I feel like, I seem to recall that we saw him there at that time, but I certainly cannot recall. I think there might have been an implication that he was at Sky Island maybe at that time, but I could be wrong. I certainly did not imagine seeing him with those wings, for sure.
Did he not have wings before? Maybe he didn't.
Can't remember. Was that part of his devil fruit form that he had the wings?
I don't even know what Arouge's devil fruit is, Eggy. This man's a complete mystery to me.
Well, I won't spoil myself in case One Piece Wiki has spoiler alerts, so I won't look him up like that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I seem to recall that there's a possibility that had something to do with his devil fruit form.
Well, either way, I appreciate that he's sitting there with a huge grin on his face watching a man commit suicide. So Aruj earned some points in my book today. Let's see. Kaido, he had tasted defeat as a pirate on 7 occasions, been caught by the Navy, our enemy, no less than 18 times, tortured over and over again.
1,000 tortures. That's right.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, thousands of tortures. Sentenced to death 40 times, but when they hang him, the rope snaps, guillotine blade cracks, spears break. He just can't die. And I guess when he finds out that Doflamingo can no longer produce the smile, as he's told, I think in a chapter or two before, Joker messed up. There's no more smile. Is this why he's committing suicide? Because his supply of smile fruits is ruined? This seems like an immediate response to that information.
Well, I mean, there's no better time to do it than when you have that that compulsion. So maybe that has something to do with all of the problems that he's had, all of his defeats, his capture, his tortures. Maybe this all just points to a man who does not give a lot of additional thought to an action. He's like, oh, it's over, time to jump. Oh, it's over, time to do whatever. He basically goes off, which makes his alleged incredible strength beyond all strength even more really frightening, because if he just doesn't think and he immediately acts reflexively on whatever compulsion,
it makes me. Oh, go ahead.
Well, he is, quote, the strongest creature alive.
Yes, in a one-on-one fight, always bet on Kaido. Do you suspect Luffy might end up in a one-on-one fight with Kaido, and we might be not betting on Kaido?
I kind of see Kaido with the image that we get of him here at the end of the volume. He kind of reminds me of, OG Oars, not Oars Jr. RIP, but big old OG Oars, when he's ready to destroy the world and start the greatest war this planet has ever seen, allegedly. Yeah, I'm thinking that that's a guy that, okay, I'm going to give Gear 4 its due diligence to, what it's able to do and what it's capable of. But I feel like looking at this person with his track record, his size, his strength, and what I just saw from him here in this chapter specifically, I think this is going to need to be a multi-person, regardless of what people have capable, whatever they're capable of, unless the fight with Kaido is way down the line. Even with Kid, Scratchman, and Basil Hawkins here, those three, I get the idea.
Is Kaido
here,
about
perhaps.
to kill them? Is your beloved Kid and Killer about to be killed?
If they could do something to him, I feel like at the point we're at in the story, I think if we had Killer, Kid, Scratchman, and Basil Hawkins all against Kaido, they should be able to do something to him, I think. I think that there should be, this is basically like 4 people who are maybe not Luffy, but they're damn near on a relatively similar tier of strength based on if we're going off of bounties and reputation and etc.
Do you think all of their bounties combined even comes close to Kaido's bounty?
Probably not, no. But we also, there's an instance here in this volume a little bit prior to this where they say, oh, we don't have to worry about what the Straw Hats are doing because we're going after red-haired Shanks as the Emperor. We want to take down. So we'd have to imagine perhaps that, if there was this many different members of the worst generation pirates with their crews, with the kind of strength they've displayed so far, victory, I don't think, because, if you're the strongest alive, even, Doflamingo being defeated one-on-one took everything that Luffy had to offer here. And Kaido's definitely above him, allegedly, in strength, so.
And if this is the strongest character in the story, and Luffy's hypothetically going to defeat him, where do you even go from there? Is this not going to be the final boss of the whole thing now? Like, if you defeat the strongest creature, how do you increase the stakes in the next arc? And Eggy's trying to get the last of the fish out of his bowl here.
That's right. I'm gonna go for that here as we go, but I feel like we get to a point now where the strength. I'm just gonna tell you how it comes into my head and into my mind. I think of Pokemon, and in Pokemon you have types, and as the years have gone by, there's types that have like a double resistance or like a double weakness to certain things. They might have a total immunity to a certain kind of type of attack or type of damage. And we've seen to a degree, I think, in the story where people are very resistant or immune to certain types of attacks. And you have to kind of be more tactical, more so than just having overwhelming power. And I feel like Kaido and people like that are where you have to start applying that sort of thing. Like maybe, as he's got these giant horns, it could be something where maybe one day in the future he's like, just something comes to mind. He was ramming at he's going to come ram you with his horns, and then you have him run into like a brick stone wall or something, whatever that could hold him by the horns, and then drop him in the bottom of the ocean or something, something like that, where the raw strength becomes secondary and tactics have to become first and foremost.
Luffy takes advantage of his suicidal nature and just talk no jutsus him into killing himself. Why not? It's built into the character from page 1.
Kaido, listen, I mean, it's over. Brutal.
I forgot to say, does this chapter imply that Law's plan was never going to work? Because the plan was destroy the Smile Factory, and then Kaido will be so mad he will kill Doflamingo. But no, Smile Factory destroyed. Kaido commits suicide immediately. So was this plan never going to work? Like he was never going to just kill Doflamingo for failure? Or is he committing suicide because Luffy already defeated Dofi and he can't even get revenge now?
I feel like, personally, just based off of what I said before, where I feel like the picture that's being painted of Kaido is a very compulsive nature. I feel like Law, he really had something to work with there because, maybe if just depending on how it would have went down and how the information would have been delivered, I think that I think he might be committing suicide now, quite possibly off the fact that his smile fruit shipment is never going to happen. He might have lost some money, and he's just so mad he just wants to kill himself immediately. So he just heard it and decided to just jump off the island as soon as possible.
How did he get up there? This is Balloon Terminal. It looks like it's a cloud being held up by thousands of balloons. I don't know how that's happening, but did he ride up on the knock-up stream?
Maybe he was so mad that he just steam blew out of his ears and launched him into the sky.
30,000 feet in the air, yeah. Maybe he has one of the 5 devil fruits that make you fly. Anything could happen. So you don't think that Kid is going to be killed here? Your beloved Supernova will live on? What does Kaido mean when he says, I survived again, old Whitebeard did it right? What did Whitebeard do right? What's he talking about?
I'm going to guess, well, here, let's pair that with the following statement that he's got. I think that he's saying it in the way that, Whitebeard did it right. He knew he was old and dying, and he was ready to die, so that's why he even arrived to try and save Ace in the first place at the Paramount War, and brought about his own death through these grand means, because the very last thing he says here is, let this dreary world be destroyed. Let's start the greatest war this planet has ever seen. Although, I guess, to be honest, before that he says, hurry up, Joker, prepare for the final battle.
Yeah, what the fuck's he talking about? Joker was defeated.
So he was killing himself over something completely pointless and much less, not at all relative to any of this?
Is there an Oda box that says this happened a day earlier or something? Because we see somebody report to a big shadowy silhouette, Joker failed, and then next chapter we get the suicide. Is he telling the story out of order and we missed it? This is an unrelated suicide attempt?
Well, I was wrong about Ace, don't get me wrong there, but I feel like it's quite possible that Doflamingo has some kind of ability to be brought back to function or form. I'm not saying it's going to happen immediately, but if everything was there in place for Smile to be created, maybe perhaps there's still something to be done, an overtaking of the facility. Maybe they don't have their slaves they did before in the form of the toys, but if the technology is out there, perhaps somebody somewhere in the mix of everything could get some type of production back up and running. But to be
Let's try
honest, I don't
to.
think that's probably right.
I want to break
I think I
down
just don't know.
Kaido's whole plan and goal here. So he's building up an army of artificial devil fruit users who are getting like zone powers. So just like as many fodder characters now have super powered devil fruits as possible. And he wants to have the greatest war the planet has ever seen. Who is he trying to build up this army to declare war against?
Hmm.
And he says old Whitebeard did it right, a guy who dies fighting against the world government. All signs are pointing to Kaido being based. He wants to have the greatest war ever to fight the world government? Is that the implication? Why is this guy
Well,
my enemy? He sounds cool as fuck.
he challenged the Navy and four emperors and was caught 18 times. And so maybe he was even doing it more than that. Those are the only times he got caught. He sounds like he might just be a hot potato. He's ready to just pop off at any given time. And if whoever's going against him, he's ready to, just a man who wants what we all desire, that real Valhalla treatment, dying in battle.
Does he
Maybe,
know something about the world government that he wants to destroy it and go to war with them? Because I don't know who else you can declare war on to have the greatest war in the planet's history, if not the people who own the planet, right? Like, is he going to declare war on a different pirate crew? Or why the hell
well,
would Luffy want to stop this guy, is my question, if he's anti establishment?
well, maybe if he wants to destroy the entire planet, that could also be, detrimental to Luffy's eventual hopes and dreams. Maybe Kaido's got a sort of a Samson option in the way that he's ready to just, go start blowing up anything just to get some wheels turning. Whether it's a false flag or whatever it might be.
I want
Because
to.
a
Speaking
man
of
who's ready to die this much, and a man who is like constantly failing his own suicides and his own like death sentences over and over again, I feel like it would be maybe a similar mindset as to an immortal, where after you've been alive for 1,000 years and like decades are going by as often as like a day is for a regular lifespan person. Maybe you start going kind of crazy and you're ready to just start killing because you're like, oh well, life's worthless and meaningless. But just start destroying everything. Ah.
the fact that Lost Devil Fruit has the ability to give eternal life implies it has been used before, perhaps several times. Is Kaido a recipient of this? Has Kaido been given immortality, perhaps long ago, perhaps recently, and that's why he can't die?
I think that would all track, to be honest, because you have sort of delirium and sort of hysteria that would come from, life no longer really having that weight to it, and then yeah, along with all of his torture and death and executions that he keeps on surviving no matter what. But yeah, then begs the question of what exactly is he referencing here in Whitebeard's case, though? Because if he can't die, then what's the angle that he's trying to play by mentioning that? It's a little suspect.
Just to switch gears, speaking of all these numbers that are being thrown at us,
Hmm.
Doflamingo's final attack, his last act of desperation to stop Luffy, he uses his spider web because Luffy's like, you control everything, I'm suffocating. And he's like, oh, well, then I'll catch you in my spider web. That's epic. But then his final actual attack is the 16 holy bullets that are coming at Luffy that the Kong Gung ultimately just smashes through. 16 holy bullets, Eggy. Does the number 16, does that ring a bell in any way to you in One Piece, other than Rebecca's age?
Hmm.
The 16 ring a bell.
Hmm. 16 members of Gold Roger's crew.
Remember after Ace died, Luffy went back to Marineford and he rang the Ox bell 8 times to signify the end of one era and 8 more times to signify the beginning of a new one. 16 rings of the bell, 16 holy bullets. What the hell does 16 mean? What is this number to Oda?
16 candles. um, hmm.
What happens in chapter 16 of One Piece? Let's take a look and see if there's any hints. Let's see. I would not be. What is chapter 16 called? Oh, didn't pop up. What did I do wrong? Do I need to do O16? Chapter 016. Versus Buggy's crew. Oh my god, is that a sign that Buggy is the one true god of One Piece? Because 16 is his holy mythical number.
Is there any Chow Chow in chapter 16? Let me see here.
Let's see. The lion is here. King of the pirates, of course, in his dream. Zoro gets flames to the face. Zoro cuts himself. No Chow Chow. No hints to what 16 might mean as far as I can tell. Let's keep our eyes peeled and see if any other holy 16s come into play in the story at any time. I'm sure I'll remember it if it ever happens again. Anything else from this volume you want to talk about? I guess I didn't give my opinion on Gats. Where is this revolutionary storytelling here? The stock character of the tournament announcer actually has depth, and when all of these citizens are abandoning Luffy, Gats is the one who has faith in him and helps him to his feet and protects him. And it's loose connection, but in Dragon Ball, they had the announcer character at the Budokai tournaments, whatever the hell. And the English voice actor for the announcer is the same actor as Sanji. So it's always nice to hear Sanji announcing Goku's antics. But have you ever seen the Gyat's stock character become more than just an announcer?
Uh, Largely, I don't think so. I think in most cases, not. In most cases, you have these sort of coliseum in other properties, other materials. They usually kind of end up seeing it all the way through. They might have some twists within the tournament, but it usually doesn't get down like this. I did have one thing that I wanted to say though about Viola here. As Viola steps in, as Luffy's recovering, she steps in to take the attention off of Rebecca. And when she does that, she almost immediately is impacted by Doflamingo's string fruit abilities to have her be puppeted. And I have to wonder, they say it right here, and they're like, oh, yeah, I've been with your family for 10 years, but I guess it's time for me to, I can't just walk away. Either I die or you die. If you've been there for all these years and you know exactly what his power is, and then you're surprised seemingly by the fact that he's immediately using it on you, you're like, oh, I'll put myself in front of you to have the attention on me. And he's like, oh, is that so? Well, yeah, by the way, now I control you and you should kill her. I mean, like, seemed a bit like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. It might just be the desperate trying to stall as much as you can. Very epic moment when Rebecca's being parasite controlled and she's about to swing the sword at Viola, but Law switches Viola and Luffy's places, and then Luffy just fucking shatters the sword with his forehead. I forgot about that moment. I remembered the one where Luffy stops Dofi from kicking Law in the face. I love that one, but this might be even cooler, to be honest, because like Law's using his power in coordination with Luffy to save her. Epic moment, I gotta say.
Very true. Hockey is a beautiful thing, and I'm just talking about on ice. Like it's making things like this possible to be able to headbutt a sword and have it break on your head when that is not your devil fruit power. So I like how it's being utilized here more and more, especially in this fight, obviously.
When
But as
we're
I
in
kind
this,
of was,
go ahead.
I was mentioning earlier about how just the fight has this tension to it because we have the first half of the volume is really about, okay, now I just did this attack. Now I need this time to build back my energy back up. And really, once he brings himself back into the fight, after stepping in to help Rebecca, I mean, he gets trounced pretty good. Like he's having these like sort of tentacles. I guess they're supposed to be string, but that shit looks like tentacles to me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Hmm.
He's getting like seemingly pierced by these tentacles. I'm getting flashbacks to other stuff I've seen in my life, and really I was additionally concerned.
And
Uh,
I want to point out for those who are all caught up on One Piece, and this is not a spoiler if you don't know what I'm saying, but if you look back at this artwork of like all these strings coming out of the ground to like pierce people, it looks identical to Domi Reversi. And of course, this Dressrosa is a microcosm of all of One Piece, so that makes sense. There's even a scene where the townspeople, to avoid certain destruction of the environment, are desperate to climb onto a higher platform, but they're being guarded by this the horrible family of the villains. And then Luffy's Gladiator Alliance comes in to help the citizens get to a higher, safer platform. And I'm thinking, is this exactly what their purpose will be in the final arc as well? Could it be? Oda's planning ahead. But back to what you were saying, Eggy. What were you saying?
oh, about how because we get this sort of it kind of breaks itself down here. So we end. Sorry. I think I'm going to say I'm probably not going to eat all this very chewy fish.
Is it
That was meant to
delectable
us.
though after it was floating in the blue?
It's colored blue. I poured it into this mug for easier eating, and you can see it's
Yum.
all been dyed blue, so it's really healthy to consume this blue curacao that dyes your organs blue when you drink it. I'm looking forward to shitting out blue later. Either way,
Is the drink better now that you've finished it? Like, does it have a high ranking now?
you know, I didn't find it absolutely atrocious. Most things I don't, though, I guess, but it is going to be comfortably at the bottom of all existing cocktails so far. It might be hard to beat for last place, but I'm certainly going to try my best to think of something even more disgusting because it ended up being, consumable. And I'm going to pour this fish out and have like a fish sandwich or something with blue liquor fish.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could
But
just throw it in the garbage
well, this is all healthy protein or something, though.
or
It's good for you,
something.
probably. If it's when you eat it on Reese's peanut butter crackers, if it's good, then it's got to be good other places, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, all of his tentacles attacking Luffy like that. It seems very like, oh crap, like there's a miscalculation here. He must have been wrong. He said he had this much strength left, but he's getting whooped. But once I saw my good beloved Silver's Raleigh, showing up flashback style, Luffy's drawing his strength.
Yeah, I was confused by this. The flashback, he says he went Gear 4 and fought an animal, but then he ran out of the stamina, and then an even bigger animal came and beat the shit out of him. Was that the implication? And then what was Luffy's solution? He just punches Doflamingo with the same attack again. What what changed? It's the same Kong gun, right? He just hit him with it again.
Uh,
What the fuck was the flashback for? What moment what lesson did he remember to help him win? Because all he does is the same attack again. And this is not a trick question. I don't know what it was. Somebody explain this to us because I don't know.
I mean, we get, yeah, besides that, there's the whole pretty traditional series of Luffy thinking about all the people who have suffered and it powers him up with that extra boost.
Yes. So it's an open mystery. Let us know. It's just like the Void Sentry. I can't wait to find out. Uh, Once upon a time, you gave the prediction, or maybe it was just the hope, that the next cover story would cover the shenanigans of Tashigi taking care of the giant children. Well, that
Yes.
might not have come true, but we do get to see them in just the normal canon material, Eggy. Were you pleased to see all of that?
I mean, yeah, it's good to know that they're doing okay. I kind of, I probably would have been stuck on the idea that that was the case. So I do prefer this certainly to, if we saw them suffering under some kind of circumstances because I do wish the best for them. I know how it is to be a child that looks unusual compared to other children and
Eh,
having to, work
Very
through
large
that.
at a young age, yeah.
That's right.
So with them out of the running, and assumedly there's going to be a new cover story starting next volume, I hope. Who do we hope to see?
Mm-mm-mm. I think well, we just had Jinbei. So let's
Yep.
see. What do we have? What was after that? We
Somebody from Punk Hazard, maybe, but Caesar is still in the main story. And the Yeti Cool Brothers. Let's see what they're up to. What about
Yeah,
what
I think
Pink Beard
if I want to time, maybe they're going to go around and make it like and more inhabitable or something.
or I guess Zoro slayed that one dragon, so we can't see the dragon's adventures.
Or maybe yeah, what was the samurai who we just found who just got brought back from
Conjuro?
toy form, Kanjuro.
He was never a
Um,
toy, of course.
yes, right, that's true. Actually, yeah, that is true. Um, so obviously we know that Mononosuke is still with the Twirly Hat Pirates, but maybe uh, so I think that his father should still be around to get him. But now that we have Kanjuro freed and he can go back, maybe we'll see him take a journey back towards Wano or something. He seemed like an interesting enough character that he probably could stand to get more than just a few panels and a couple chapters.
I suspect Conjuro, he might be sticking around. He's got nowhere to go. They need to get Momo back. Okay, anything else from this volume that we absolutely must talk about, or we're going to look like a bunch of jackasses, Eggy? Jewelry Bonnie, huh? She's proud of her fellow supernova for doing well. She's not competitive. That's pretty cool. She's not getting raped by Blackbeard and Akainu anymore. She somehow
Mhm.
escaped. That's okay.
I liked the Fujitora kneeling down to King Riku on
Mm.
the transponder snail that everybody in the entire world sees, and basically making the Navy look like a bunch of pussies.
Now, I'm not very good at symbolism or metaphors. What does he mean by having the blind guy represent true justice, Eggy? Is there like a saying that, or am I missing something?
Well, I think it's
What does that
because
stupid statue say?
he can launch meteors out of the sky. So when you can just launch meteors on anybody, you're like more chill.
That's what
So you're like,
justice is blind means, is that you can throw meteors at
yeah.
people.
So when old five elders like, yo, bro, that's not cool, man. I look like a bitch. Now you just drop meteors on their head and kill them instantly, and be like, oh, who's the bitch now?
Yeah, and Fujitora is told from Akainu, you are not allowed to step foot in any Navy base until you bring in Luffy and Law. Are we expecting a clash in the next volume? Is Fujitora not letting them go, even if the dice dictated so?
Well, I see it either going one of two ways. I don't expect that it's going to play out in the way that they might expect it or suspect that it would. Because what the last thing we see of him is him like rolling the dice, and he's just like, oh well, that's what the dice say, and the man wouldn't go against it. That's bad form or whatever.
Now let
So
me
maybe
ask you
he's
this,
gonna.
Aggie. You roll the dice. They said, "Oh, number one, that's the only way Luffy is not getting pursued. So Luffy has a 1 in 6 chance." Does a guy with gravity powers control where the dice lands?
He certainly could in theory. I just don't know if I've seen a light application of his ability like that. It seems like every time he's been using it, it's been pretty significant with a bit of significant force. So I don't know. His strength might be to where like he doesn't know his own strength and he would try to. But
Well, it's two
that's just
very different
speculation.
storytelling elements here. It's either this guy is intentionally cheating to keep Luffy safe because he believes in justice and knows Luffy's the hero, or it's fate itself is protecting Luffy and Luffy's incredibly lucky and he got this 1 in 6 chance right. And either way, it's interesting. And the way it's written, we don't know which is the case.
That is true. Oda's been doing very well at leaving these things that are up to interpretation. Um, but I guess, yeah, to read it that way that he did, let's say, manipulated him with his gravity powers, and 'cause he's very hands off all the same. He might, if he was really that concerned, he would probably be like, "Ah, well, a two, well, that's close enough to one. Let's go get him." But he's very steadfast in that. Oh, the dice said no, so I'm just gonna sit here. Don't worry about it. So he might be playing it like that, like he's gonna just be hands off, and he's not a fan of how the Navy's been conducting itself to begin with. So going to rush into their good graces again is not his top concern. But I also, at first, before that panel comes in, if I'd been a weekly reader and just saw him be saying, "Oh, that's exactly what I'd hoped he'd say," I'm thinking, "Hey, Luffy and Law, yeah, I've been with the Navy, but these guys, they're not conducting themselves correctly. So I want to show up with you guys to a base or whatever and like flip somebody over for the way that they've been behaving, basically." So I could have seen it going both ways, but maybe right now he's playing that pacifist game.
Did Law lose his status as a warlord? Did I forget that plot point? He should be immune, right?
Uh, I mean, who's gonna? Did he?
Are warlords not allowed to kill each other? Like, he's still a warlord. Maybe, did he get it taken away? I forgot. I don't know.
I feel like he was ready to sacrifice it. That it had been kind of a point of his to get that position in order to gain further power outside of it. But I guess I couldn't tell you exactly if there was a point where it's assuredly removed.
He
That
might
I
have
can
said,
remember.
like, I revoke it myself, but I don't know how Akainu would know that. It's
Right.
strange that he's being requested to be arrested, but um, I wonder if Oda felt insecure or was getting some criticism about Sabo coming back and getting Ace's power. Because Gyatz has a quote saying, "Taking on the powers of your late brothers, a real heartwarming story, man." And it's like, if I'm the author of the story, do I need a character to tell me that what I wrote is heartwarming and good? Isn't that for the reader to decide?
uh, this
He's
is just
just,
how good
he's,
Oda
it's
is.
the
The way
fucking
that
meme
he's
of,
saying
but
it, he's
go
not
ahead.
going fourth wall with it. He's kind of like mentioning it to the people in the vicinity. So,
He's directly
uh, you know.
commenting on his own storytelling. It's the fucking meme of Obama putting the medal on himself, right? I wonder if
Yeah.
Japanese readers were complaining about it, and so he throws it in the story. And then a few chapters later, we actually get a full Sabo flashback chapter with like all the stuff, even the chat with Luffy he has in the Coliseum. I forgot that there was even more to that, but there's several pages of it. We even see Dragon saving him as a child, which somebody in the comments is like, "Guys, what do you mean we didn't see that? Wasn't it explicitly shown?" They might have been misremembering because, I mean, yeah, it showed at the end of Dressrosa. It's not showed at the ASL flashback. That would have ruined the surprise when Sabo pops up. Of course it was here. Any thoughts on the big Sabo chapter and reading about his brother in the newspaper breaking through the conditioning of the amnesia?
It was all really. I mean, it was very emotional, but it was kind of like, there was a part of it that was a little bit of that gut punch feeling, like, oh man, that's tough, that's hard, like you get in there emotionally, but at the same time, I'm kind of feeling like this sort of excitement that, like, with where he's at, that he's feeling this in a suffering kind of a painful way, but it's also bringing so much more back to him that it's that's like such an exciting thing to remember something like that and to remember those lost years, to remember where you came from, and how he is able to kind of retroactively now apply that to where he was at as a part of the Revolutionary Army. And then when he meets Luffy in the Coliseum and he's there with Bartolomeo, and it's kind of this emotion that Luffy has about meeting him again, and then like Bartolomeo's kind of on the side, kind of like they're experiencing it. He's like he's our self insert right there, like, whoa shit,
Yeah.
but
Many volumes ago, we had a question about like if there's something in the story you don't like or you would want to change, and I said that there is, but it's not until later. This is what I was talking about. I don't like the amnesia storyline. It's too soap opera gimmick for me because
Mm.
Ace was a world famous pirate. He's the number two captain on Whitebeard's crew. You're telling me Sabo, who's the leader, second in command of the revolutionaries, never saw his name and face in the paper ever before he was executed? World famous pirate, just he didn't see him until the execution. I don't buy it personally, and I think it literally does not work in English. I think in Japanese there's a very specific pun that jogs Sabo's memory. It's something to do with like a Kainu killing Ace. I don't know the specifics. We could look it up, but it's a pun that does not translate that I guess could be reinterpreted to tell Sabo exactly what was going. Somebody out there will tell us, and I'm sure we'll read about it in the comments next week.
Yeah, because you can see clearly where the translation over like his caption says "Fire Fist Ace dead," like just so matter of factly
Mm-hmm.
with just like a picture of his face. It's a little bit, yeah, but all the same, I don't. He wasn't second in command at this point, though, was he?
He is now. Probably not when he was saved as a kid, but I don't.
I guess it only would have been like 2, 3 years difference at
Yeah,
this point. So,
I'm
so
asking
about to be close.
ChatGPT if they could tell me what this pun was. And pun. And the
But
pun jogged his amnesia. Let's see if they know what I'm talking about. Isn't obvious unless you know Japanese. When Sabo reads the newspaper about Ace's death, he sees Ace referred to as Portgas D Ace. The key is the D. In Japanese, the letter D is pronounced like de, which sounds extremely close to the word ototo, meaning younger brother. So subconsciously, Sabo's brain connects Ace plus D to Ace, my brother. And that's what breaks through the amnesia. So not about Akainu, but the D is what made it. Oh, that's... If this is correct, that is very interesting.
and I think if this version I read online is the same as what's printed, perhaps the translation should be maybe reevaluated, or at least put another translator's note in there because yeah, that's it feels like it's got some weight to it that it would certainly benefit the translation from having to be quite sincerely honest.
Yeah, the amnesia plot is very stupid in English, and even in Japanese, like this pun is interesting. It adds to it for sure, but even then, I feel like seeing his face in the newspaper should have jogged something. But uh, Oda, I'm fine with this wordplay. Good for you. It's fine. It made it better. And with that, I think we might be at the end of the episode, Eggy. Any predictions for what we're going to see next week? Is Dressrosa finally coming to an end?
Well, to be honest, I was surprised that it didn't quite get there. This last chapter was cool, but it was kind of like a little bit of a almost coming soon. It kind of felt like in
Mm-hmm.
multiple aspects, which is all right. It could be worse. There could be less agreeable things, but it seemed like it was trying to be a lot of things when maybe I was waiting for something that would be a little more conclusive. I think that I want to see some more developments here. We're getting these little blips in these little panels after Doflamingo's defeat is broadcast. Now there's people saying, "Oh, there's no more weapons. The war's over." And "Oh no, I can't. I'm not going to get my shipment now." Or wait, and now these people don't have weapons, and we do. We already have some, so we can go attack them now. I'm waiting to see. I would like to see anyway some progress in the development of this new civil unrest. Is somebody going to step in and put their foot down? Will it be Kaido if he's got this kind of strength and he's up and angry and facing some of this worst generation, some powerful foes? Are they there to do business? Maybe they can work something out to install themselves as a new Joker-like figure for the betterment of Kaido, and they won't even have to fight him. Maybe they could all work together for some eventual goal. It's tough for me to say. I think we're going to see Luffy kind of getting back on his feet, some Dressrosa send-offs. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of the twirly hat crew, but under what circumstances, it's hard to say. Hopefully, they can start working on reconnecting with Luffy, and maybe it won't take an exceptional length of time for them to all come back together, because then we could have uh, things start progressing in a more concentrated direction towards some of these new things that are popping up. There's going to need to be some rest and recovery, but a lot of shit just popped off now also at the same time, just from defeating Doflamingo. So that's going to need to be addressed. I think we're just going to work kind of in that direction. The fallout of Doflamingo's defeat, rest and recovery, sending off from Dressrosa, the crews getting back together, meeting, and Kaido, he has appeared, and he's very powerful and very suicidal, and I want to see where that goes. I think that Fujitora is maybe going to be off to the wayside if he's in kind of this uncaring mode.
He's not going to interfere. He's going to let them go peacefully.
I feel like we're at least not going to see him in the next volume, I would say. I feel like he's going to be kind of off to the side for a bit until maybe it's opportune for him to show back up.
Do you have a prediction for the name of the next arc/island? Where are we going next?
Well,
and I think we do know, because Law, he set this all up long ago. We'll just have to jog our memory.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I thought before that Big Mama are going to be our emperor target, but with Kaido being here, I'm thinking Land of the Beasts or something, maybe, perhaps.
Wherever Law sent Nambi and the crew off to, and they have a Vivre paper. Also, Sabo makes a Vivre card out of Luffy. We still don't know how these are made. What the hell did he do to make one out of Luffy?
I guess it needs a little bit of your life energy to be able to track it, like a little bit of maybe a drop of blood, a strand of hair.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Bodily fluids.
Hopefully we'll get an answer to that someday, too. I still don't know how Vivre cards work. Eggy, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I'll give the old Zitter a shout out at 2EggWhite. I'm saying, for some reason, somebody must have shouted me out on something. I got like over 100 followers like within a day's time without even saying anything to anybody. So I don't know where it came from. I saw some people that followed Dick Masterson were some of the people that were following me. So I don't know if he said something that I didn't see, but he's not following me. So it's anybody's best guess, I suppose.
You're missing out, Dick, on some quality zeets. Go check out Vincent's Atheist Reviews on the Simeon Jimmy channel. And go check out Is It Kino on Simeon Jimmy's Treehouse. I'm guessing you already do.
Just in case, go get ahead. That Kino in your life.
One Piece, people.